morning, everybody. If you have any special requests, you can go ahead and type them into the chat. Welcome back, day 6. Here we are. So let's get started. Right away, you can just come into your comfortable posture for meditation. That could be lying down on your back. That could be sitting upright. Just a place where you can have a long spine with some ease. If you're sitting, you might just pay attention to where your body grounds onto what you're sitting on. You might feel where your connection is to the earth, either through your chair or the floor. Maybe also feeling your connection to the sky through the top of your head. I'm just spending these next couple minutes just drawing your awareness onto your breath. We'll go ahead and read our quote for today. Racism is a heart disease. How we think and respond is at the core of racial suffering and racial healing. If we cannot think clearly and respond wisely, we will continue to damage the world's heart. And that's from Ruth King. It's bringing your awareness back towards your body, back into the room, maybe opening your eyes and starting to see the things around you. We're going to get started on the back today, so you can start to work your way towards the back. If you want to type any special requests in the chat, you can. If you want to keep your video off, you can, but if you want to put your video on, you're welcome to do that as well. We're going to lie down on the back, and we're going to come into the same thing that we did yesterday, which is a supine twist. So I'm going to move my hips over towards the left. I'm going to let my feet and my legs come over towards the right, and then I'm going to open my arms into like a T shape. And then you can figure out where you want that opposite arm to be. So my legs are to the right, so for me it's my left arm. And you could lower it down a little bit, or you could have it lifted a little higher. However high it needs to be for you to just get a little openness through that part of your shoulder and your heart. And then we're going to take a little, just a little movement here today. So I'm going to circle the arm down and around and then up overhead. And you might trace your fingertips on the floor, you might not. It's up to you, whatever feels right for your shoulder. And so I'm just circling the arm as if my fingertips are going to trace a circle along the floor. Just moving through the rotation. You can bend your elbow if it needs to. Just getting that shoulder joint a little warm. We'll just take that a couple more times. And then when you're ready, letting yourself fall back into the twist. You can let your chin go opposite direction of your knees, so in the direction of your arm. And a couple breaths there. And then when you're ready, you can draw yourself back to center. And then taking the other side, so hips over towards the right, knees and feet up and over towards the left. You can look towards the right, or if you're on the opposite side, that's fine. Just doing whatever is right for your body. A couple of breaths there. And then when you're ready, taking that arm that's opposite your legs, and then just again moving it in that circle just along the floor. Just finding that tracing of those fingertips. And I'm going to go ahead and read our quote again for today. For those of you who don't know Ruth King, if you're familiar with Liberate, the BIPOC meditation app, there's some talks by Ruth King on there. So, racism is a heart disease. How we respond and think is at the core of racial suffering and racial healing. If we cannot think clearly and respond wisely, we will continue to damage the world's heart. Ruth King. All right, when you're finished with those circles, you can go ahead and just roll yourself over onto your side. Draw yourself over into a child's pose if that feels good to you. You could also just come to hands and knees or come to a seated position. Just take a couple breaths there. So we'll do a little more heart opening today in sort of the theme of this quote by Ruth King. And it's funny because when we think about talking about racism, like thinking clearly and responding wisely, those are not my first words when I talk about racism, but I think it's such a great reminder to practice, right? This is why we practice for those conversations. All right, if you're in your child's pose, you can draw yourself up to your hands and knees. We're just going to take a couple rounds of cat-cow, real simple, very common pose here. But I invite you today in your cat, as you let your heart sink open, to bend your elbows a little bit, so you're kicking up a little bit of strength through the shoulders. You can bend them a couple inches, maybe find some width on the front of the collarbones, and then just pause there. So you start to feel just the muscles of the shoulders kick up. And I'm thinking about my shoulder blades moving just down my back gently, not pushing them, but just finding a little energy there. And then I'm going to take my cat pose and I'm going to round my spine, tucking the chin into the chest. And then here I'm going to tuck my toes under and actually rock back a little bit. I might even tent my fingers and find like this halfway to child's pose cat pose. So I like to call this like a hovering cat. And then I'm really tucking my tailbone under, and that gives me a stretch through my lower back. And then we're going to go between those. So I'm going to bend the elbows, rock forward, find this powerful cow pose, heart opening. And then exhale, rock halfway back to child's pose. Maybe come up onto my fingertips and round, hovering cat. Planting my hands again, bending my elbows, inhaling forward, powerful cow. Exhaling and rounding, floating cat. And then just a couple more times on your own at the rhythm of your own breath. So I'm finding the heart opening both for the front of the heart and the back of my heart. All right, I'm going to draw my weight forward onto my hands and knees again. This is one of my favorite poses in the morning. So I'm going to step my right foot out to the right. I'm going to bring my foot a little more forward so it's a little more in line with my shoulder. And then from here, you could bend your elbows and find a little cow pose just in the upper spine. If you're pretty flexible in your inner thighs or inner legs, you could also lower your elbows down onto the floor or onto blocks. It's also just fine to stay in that powerful cow pose in the upper body. And then from here, we're going to inhale, we're going to pull the heart even more forward. And then I'm not going to come into cat, but I'm going to let my hips pull me back. So as I rock forward, I find a little cow pose. I might bend my elbows. And then as I exhale, I just draw myself into a lengthened spine and let my hips come back. So I'm rocking my weight forward and back. Inhale forward, bend elbows, open heart. And exhale, rock back. And then just one more like that, bending the elbows, looking forward, opening the heart. And exhale and rock back. All right, when you're ready, you can draw yourself back to your hands and knees and then bring yourself onto the other side. So stepping your left foot out towards the left and then maybe bringing it forward in line with the shoulder. It just gets it a little more into that inner thigh, bending the elbows, inhale, sending the heart forward. Exhale, the hips pull you back into a long spine. And then bending, inhaling, looking forward. If you're staying on your elbows, that's fine as well. Bending, inhale, opening the heart. Exhale, feeling the spine lengthen out. And just two more. All right, coming back to hands and knees, I'm going to invite two poses for heart opening. You could either take a child's pose with your arms extended and your elbows up off the floor, so you have a little energy through the shoulders and the heart. Or if you have a downward facing dog practice, you could take downward facing dog. If you're taking downward facing dog, I invite you to stay with this energy of cat-cow. So inhale, open the front of your body a little bit, find a little cow pose, and then exhale, find a little round. So there's a little movement even in your downward facing dog with the breath. So the spine just sort of gets that flexion and extension. All right, when you're ready, you can draw yourself down onto the belly. So last pose for heart opening. So when I think of the heart, I like to think of it as like the base of my sternum all the way up and then on the back side of my body too, right? All my ribs, every place that my rib attaches is a joint on the front and on the back. So all these different joints to open the heart. So on the belly, we're gonna take the gecko pose. I do this one a lot as well. Tenting the fingertips, walking the hands wider than the mat, and then inhale, lifting up the heart, and exhale, tapping the forehead down. Today we'll take a little variation, so you can inhale and lift up, and then as you come down, you can just tap one side of your head. So I'm just gonna tap the left side of my head down to the mat, and I get a different opening in my shoulder, and then inhale, I'm coming back to center. Exhale, I'm gonna tap the right side of my head down towards the floor. Inhale back to center when you're ready. Exhale, tapping the left side. When you're ready, inhaling back to center. Exhale, tapping right. And then maybe just one more each side. If you're feeling anything in your low back, try to see if you can push your pelvis or your pubic bone down towards the floor. And then once you've finished, to come out of this, I invite you to come into a wide knee child's pose. So that's just a little bit easier on the low back after being in a back bend. So the toes touch, the knees nice and wide, and then pressing yourself back, reaching the arms forward, maybe resting the forehead down. And just giving your body a thank you for showing up today. And as you rest down on the earth, just acknowledging those who came before you, both on the land that you're on and in your lineage, who go with you throughout your day. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.